has been good so far, and for that I am grateful. So yeah, I can't believe I cheered up, guys. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while, and yeah, this was more or less an impromptu video for me, but I really felt the nudge to share this on here, and that's why I'm here. So a few weeks back, about 4 or 5 weeks, I can't remember, a few weeks ago I went for an event, and I met a couple of people, and it was so funny because we were about 20 at the place, 20 people at the event, and 5 people, I'm not kidding, 5 people knew me. Now some of them couldn't remember where they had met me, but I just knew, I knew it was YouTube. And a few of them were like, oh, are you on YouTube or are you on Instagram? And I was like, oh, maybe. But there was one person in particular, and I don't recall his name exactly. Apologies about that. I think it was Chike or Chinedu, but I think it was Chike. Chike, this is for you. Like, you really nudged me. You really prompted me to come out here and do this. And you know, when it was like, oh, I haven't seen you on YouTube, what's going on? And I had excuses, just silly things to say. And we were like, oh, that's fine, but you have stuff that people need. You shouldn't, keep quiet about it. Because I told him, I'm now a dentist. I'm trying to, I'm working. I'm trying to balance work life. Being a mom of two, it's something that, and some people get on with it quite easily, but for some of us, we struggle a bit, and we try to, just find a balance and everything. So yeah, and he was like, oh, congrats, but this information you have about being a dentist in the UK is so valuable. Like, so many people that I know need this information. If you would just, come out there and help out and all that. And it got me really thinking, because like my DMs, even my WhatsApp, every week, not to brag, like or every 2 weeks, I have someone popping in asking questions about how to become a dentist in the UK. How did I go about it, or how to become a hygienist? Questions like that. And I thought, what? Rather than answer everybody one by one, why not just come on here and be the voice of the people, the voice of the dentist in the UK, the voice of the overseas trained dentist, working in the UK. So yeah, I am. And I can't even believe I'm doing this, but I am glad I'm doing this. Yeah. But today I will not be talking about everything because there's really a lot. Today I will be doing more of a reflection about my journey in the past 1 year. I did share about this on my Instagram, in my Instagram stories, and I had so many responses. People thanking me for sharing my journey, people telling me how encouraged they felt. And I thought, why not come on YouTube to share? And yeah, so what I will be talking about basically is my ORA Part 2 experience, the exam experience itself. And yeah, it was about a year ago. I wrote the exams April, and results came out in May. And at that same time, I was heavily pregnant. Like, I was heavily pregnant, but it was just time to write it. I remember having so much, like a burden. Like, do I want to write this exam? Am I ready? I'm pregnant, And if I've ever shared on here, or if you know me personally, you probably know I've written that exam in the past and I didn't pass. So that fear of failing again really also held me back, and I felt like I can't do this and fail. Like, it takes so much from you. It's expensive. It's emotionally and physically draining, and I just didn't want to go on that journey if I wasn't sure. But I kept feeling that burden, like it was time. And the scripture that I remember holding on to then was, now is the appointed time. It says, now is the time for God to arise and have mercy upon Zion, upon me, like you. And that scripture, I held on to it, like, Lord, this is my time of mercy. Like, we need to do this now. And yeah, I went ahead with that exam, heavily pregnant, like I said, afraid, but I did it afraid, basically doing it afraid. So I did go for the exam. Before the exam, obviously, I went for courses. I had to go on trains back and forth to London, all around, everywhere that there was a course, basically. I didn't do so many because I'd done some before, so I just needed my weak spot. So if you know anything about the exams now, you may be watching this and this doesn't concern you. But if you know any overseas dentist that is interested, you can share it with them. And if you just want to hear my story and just felicitate with me, please keep watching. Before I continue, if you're new here, you're welcome. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and like I say, feel free to share. So back to the story. So yeah, once I decided I was going to write the exam, obviously you have to raise money. Then we have to pay for the exam way before the exam, like a month or two before the exams. And yeah, we raised the money. I paid for the exams. My husband was in on it. He was like, just go for it. Just do it. Just try your best. And we raised the money, paid for the exams. Once you pay for an exam, then it dawns on you like, hey, we are really doing this. And it was really scary. I don't know why it was scary, but for me at that point, it was just scary. But once I could just believe and hold on to God, like, God, this time around, it is me and you. So yeah, like I said, I knew my weak points because I'd done the exam before. The exam has how many components? The OSCE components. It had the DTP, that's the diagnosis and treatment planning, and they have the medical emergency and the dental mannequin. So my weakness was in the dental mannequin course. Like I'd done that was where I practically failed. So I didn't even fail. You have when you have a borderline, so they don't want you to have borderline. Basically, they want you to pass. So I had borderline, and that I had two borderline, and that was out of three. So once I had two borderline, and that was a fail. So I knew my weakness was mannequin. My other skills I passed them really well. Talking to people, I can talk, so that was not a problem. I can communicate. If communication is your weak spot, you work and concentrate on that. But for me, I knew that talking was not a problem for me. The medical emergency was just more of memory. Like my memory is there, my memory is sharp. So I knew I had to perfect my hand skills because that's basically what dentistry is about. And having been at home for so long and not worked, that was a bit of a challenge. So I had like a dental lab in my house, like a dental clinic. Like I had everything. If you're writing the exams, you have your own mannequin, the head, your patient's head is there. You have everything. I was practicing all the procedures daily. So I had the things, and you spend money on materials. Your things will finish. I was spending money every other week buying materials. So part of that was part of my fear. Like, did I have the commitment and the money to be just throwing into this? Once your composite finishes, you want to buy more amalgam finishes because you need to keep practicing these procedures so that you are comfortable doing them at the exam and eventually when you see patients. So dentistry is a practice, it's a surgery, so it's something it's something that you have to keep practicing. Dental practice, you get. So yeah, I committed to doing this. My husband was very supportive. Thank you, my love. I couldn't have done this without you. So as much as I'm thanking God, for all the support, I'm thanking God for the people He put around me. Like I have so many people that I have that I can always say, oh, I couldn't have done this without these people. God really put pillars around me, and that was when I knew that it was going with me. A lot of times you want to do something and you are scared that if people know, they will probably judge you or whatever. You don't want anybody to know. But somehow God still tries to put people around you because I think that was what He did for me. I didn't want people to know. I was trying to be hush hush about it, but eventually I had to let people know. And I had a few friends as well that were writing the exam. So it was just our time. We all went together for the exam, and we supported each other. That support was so key. You need someone to be practicing with. Even people I didn't know, like you join many WhatsApp groups, and people will say, "Oh, I need a study partner." I already had my study partner. I had more study partners. People from different countries. Everybody just studying and helping each other. It was just like the goal. So the things you share with someone that doesn't know what they know, they'll share with you. It was all everyone was just working together. The goal, eyes on the goal, eyes on the prize, and eventually the exam came, and the real testimony. Now, what I shared on my Instagram, I will just go into the details basically. So, a week to the exam, my dental compressor broke down. Now, this is like the main machine you use to work. Once your compressor breaks down, basically you have nothing. And I was like, Lord, what should I do? Initially, I was going to enter panic mode. I mean, I was already heavily pregnant. I felt like I stressed myself enough. I didn't want to stress my baby. So, I just really had to think, what should I do? Lord, what should I do? Now, the funny thing was, when I wrote that exam in 2019, when I failed, a week to the exam, one of my handpiece stopped working. So it was exactly a week, and again it was happening. And you feel like, what? Like this has happened to me before. And I remember when that happened in 2019, September, or the exam was September. When it happened, guys, I went into full blown panic. But I realized then when I was writing the exam, I was writing it with fear, not with fear. That was like, oh God, my handpiece. I was started calling everybody, please, send me handpiece, help. But, I was in panic mode. But this time when my machine, the whole thing broke down, I just laughed. I said, devil, this not this time. I started thinking, who can I call? How I can't afford a new one. I mean, even if I buy a new one, the exam is just 1 week away. Like, what would I do with it? If I even order it, it will not get to me in like maybe 2 or 3 days, and I have to be in London like 3 days to the exam because the exam is 3 days itself. Because I have to be in London like 2 days or a day to the exam, and the exam is like 3 days itself. So it just felt like I have to have a plan. Is either I'm done. I said, God, is that all the practice I've done? Maybe this is enough practice, and I'm ready, or you have a plan. So while I was thinking, I was calculating. I have a friend in London. She's passed already. She passed in January. Should I call my friend? While I was thinking, God just reminded me, oh, there's another colleague not too far in a neighboring town. Why don't you ask her? And I was thinking, oh, can I ask her? Let me just try it. It won't harm. I mean, she's not writing exams yet. So I called and I asked my friend about this. I was like, oh, can I borrow your machine? This is the situation I'm in and all that. And she was so grateful and she was like, oh, yeah, no problem. Oh, maybe she's not around today. I did the machine program on Friday, and exams were starting the next Friday. So we agreed that I'll pick up the machine by I think Sunday. I can't remember. I think she wasn't going to be in the next day and all that. And I wanted my husband to help me as well. So we agreed on Sunday. So basically, I only had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday left. I mean, Thursday I was traveling to London already. So yeah, we agreed to make that Sunday. And when I got to our place, we said gisting and talking about the exam. She had also written the exam, and we shared our experiences. And she told me she passed the practical, and I'm like, really, that was my struggle and mine. We just spoke about it, and I was like, oh, okay, what was your own where was your challenge? And we were just sharing our strengths and weaknesses. And then because she told me she had passed the practical, I just felt the nudge to share with her where I was struggling. And I told her, I'm struggling with this particular part of the exam. Can I share my work with you? Because when you do your preparation, your preps, you take pictures, you send it on groups, people. So there are some tutors that will comment, some people will comment, or you send it to friends that have passed, those kind of things. But this time around, I was not even ready to send it to anybody. I was sending it to my friends. So I had a friend writing. But it's always easier to send it. It's always better to send it to somebody that has passed. You believe them more. But that was what we were doing. We were like helping each other, correcting each other, and we were using the consortium. So there's like a consortium for the exam. This is what they want you to do. This, if you don't do this, is fail. If you do this, is pass. So we were following the consortium and all. So I sent. I went back home. I started doing that particular procedure. Let me tell you, the procedure is called a veneer. So I started cutting this veneer and all. And I sent it to her. She will correct it. Tuesday, I cut it again. Send it to her. She will correct it. So I was taking all the correction, working on it. By Wednesday, I sent my procedure to her, and then she was like, "This food is ready." Like, that was the best compliment I'd ever gotten. Like, that was what I needed to hear. And she told me that that this one is perfectly cooked. Like, she said it in Yoruba that day, like, "Ele ojino," and I'm like, "What do you mean ojino? What do you mean?" But it made me so much more confident. Like, wow, finally, this procedure I was struggling with, someone was telling me that I was doing well. Now, mind you, I was practicing other procedures. I was doing the root canals, I was doing the amalgams and everything. But that one was the one that every time I just shared, people will keep correcting. No one had ever really told me, oh, well done. So when she told me it was good, I just held on to that. And yeah, by Thursday, packed up. I think I left on Thursday because I was day 2. So my exam was starting Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. So I left on Thursday, if I'm right. And I couldn't do any more cutting or any more prep. So I packed all my things off to London with my big belly. And I took a train. Guys, I could just feel opposition. But when there's opposition and you have God, the train, that Thursday, me that have exam next day, I booked Airbnb in London with a friend. We were going to stay together. My party, let me just mention her name here, Joy. we had paid to stay together so that we could revise and everything together. And I was in the train. Suddenly, they said there was one havoc, there was fire. I said, Jesus, this has never happened to me before. Me that have exam, fire in train. All the years I'm going to London, I've never experienced anything. So they were like, oh, we should just sit still, that there's a fire on the rail, that they need to clear the rail, blah, blah, blah. I just knew. You know how Jonah was in the ship and there was destruction and storm and they had to pray more. But I said, God, this boat, they will not throw me out because this one I'm obeying God. This is not a matter of if people were like, what, who is causing this issue? I mean, I was on that train for, ah, I don't want to exaggerate it, but I was on that train the whole day. So at one point, people got down. People were saying, okay, maybe go connect a train, take a bus. But people were leaving. I sat down. I said, God, this might be. If I was not pregnant, I would probably have gotten off, and I would have been running next train, next bus, next. People are talking about, okay, there's a train, blah blah blah. Even my battery was low, so I'm like, if I leave this train, we're still like 2 or 3 towns from London. So I was like, wait, we're not even close enough for me to stress myself. So I wasn't going to. So I just sat down and I just started praying. I was just praying that God, this train has got to move. We'll move a bit again. They will stop. They will say, oh, they can't hear the. It was like being on the plane. The pilot, I said the pilot, the captain, whatever they call them. He was trying to update us. He said, very sorry. He has not gotten any feedback from the rail people. Blah blah blah. And I was just like, so what I was doing, I was revising. I kept on reading. But at the same time, I was agitated. Like, what's all this, God? What's all this? I need to, when would I get to my room, rest, refresh myself, revise, be ready? Anyway, eventually I got to my apartment. I got to London Euston, found my way. Luckily enough, where I had booked, it was not too far from the train station, and it wasn't too far from the exam venue as well. The exam venues, there are like 3 venues or 2 venues. So I got to the room. I could finally rest and raise my feet up, and my friend, we chatted up and everything. So exams started basically, and day one went by. Huskies, everybody was nice and pleasant. That's my feedback. I don't know if I feel the feedback, but yeah, day one, everybody, because I was pregnant, it wasn't nobody gave. I won't say they gave me any special whatever, but every time we are standing in front of a station, they would offer me a chair, which was good. So in the few seconds or 1 minute before you move to the next station, I'll sit down sometimes, and sometimes I say, oh, I'm fine. I'll move to the next station, and that was how it went. That was how it went. The whole thing like that. Eventually finished day one. I'm like, thank God. Now day two, obviously when you are there, some people when you're in London, they will still be going to some. If you are living in London, lucky you can keep practicing. Some people will go to friends' house. I didn't know anybody in London that had machine like that I could go and practice or anything. So I was just like, you know what? What we've practiced is enough. That's what God wants us to know. I got to the exam, and the first procedure for day two was the mannequin, the cutting part, the machine part, and there were 3 things to do, and one of them was the veneer. The veneer. Do you remember when I mentioned it? That one I was struggling with. That my colleague told me it was well cooked. That procedure came out, and at that moment, I was so close to tears. I just felt like, God, you're so mindful of me. I just felt like, wow. Imagine if the testimony here is, imagine if my machine did not break down. I would just still be cutting the rubbish I was cutting and thinking, am I doing this? I'll just still be doing what I'm doing, and I'm like, I hope it's good enough. I hope it's good enough. But God knew that this work you're doing is not good enough. There's somebody else that knows it. How can I get you to get better? But what needed to happen? My machine had to break down so that I could go to my colleague to collect a machine. And going there, God gave me the wisdom to open up, because some people will get there and they will just keep quiet about their struggles. But God gave me the wisdom to open up and to ask, is it okay if I send you pictures of my work for you to correct? And God, taught her heart, you know, the whole thing, when I think about it, I know God has done many things for me in my life, like so many things. But those little things, it's not even little. Those moments, they're like altars for me. They're like things that I would always look back to and always say, Lord, I remember when you did this. Those are the moments when I fought my lion and my bear. You know how the Bible talks about David when he faced Goliath? It was like, who are you? He has killed a lion, he has killed a bear. So who is Goliath? And those are the moments for me. Like when I see things and I just think, is it not God that conquered worry part 2? So what is this? Who are you? So that was it for me, really. And I got to that exam. I did exactly what my friend had corrected. That one that said was cooked. I cooked it again. It was like cooking. I cooked it. I cut that teeth. The teeth was looking like this. I knew that this one is cooked. I was happy. The examiners came, looked, I went on to the next one. I will not say everything was perfect. I remember one procedure was in my MOD. I felt like I didn't cut it well enough. They even asked me, because the first time when they asked me, my first exam I failed, well, what do you think? Are you happy with your work? I'm like, I think so. You know, you don't even know what you're saying. But this time they said, are you happy with your work? And I said, not very. You know, I started telling them, like, me too, I was talking like consortium. I was like, I'm not, my box is not very, you know, I was using all those terms. They're not parallel, they're not what they want to hear. So they feel like at least you know what to do. Maybe you didn't get it this time based on time and everything. So I, you know, I had that conversation with them that, oh, I would have preferred if I was able to do this, do that, but I wasn't able to, blah, blah, blah. My missile box, however, I think that's okay, but, you know, I should have said all the grammar. But people of God, I went back to my room that night and I couldn't sleep. See how my mind was like, hey, wait, they give me borderline again. That's the end, though. I couldn't sleep. I was troubled. I woke up with my pregnant tummy, crying at night. And my friend and I, we prayed. We said, ah, God, you know, we really prayed because it felt like, God, this exam we've overcome. Now, day 3 came, I did the diagnosis, treatment planning, you know, that one too, the case was so confusing. But what my patient told me and what I was seeing, everything, it was not matching up. But I still did, you know, I did all the talking, advice, did everything. When I came up, people were saying something else. I was like, ah, this is what me I saw. What are you people talking about? But my patient told me it's this tooth. They said it's this tooth. Because they gave us the x-ray. And once you see the x-ray, it was so confusing. The x-ray was like the anterior teeth. Now I'm talking dental stuff for you guys, but listen, the what I remember, the x-ray, once you see the x-ray, you're like, ah, this one looks like internal resorption, blah blah blah. So my head, your head will start calculating in that area. But when I spoke to my patient, which tooth? She was saying, this tooth. I said, which one? And then pointed at another tooth. For this x-ray. So when they brought the x-rays, then I now saw that other tooth. I now saw that you've had a root canal. I now had to manage that. Then still now talk about, okay, the front. I also noticed this, you know. So, but when I got out, nobody was talking about the corner tooth. I'm like, everybody was like, hey, that front. But I'm like, my patient told me it was the corner tooth. Anyway, long and short, results came out in about 20 working days. And to the glory of God, let me be dramatic, because God is good. I passed. Like, I don't even remember how that day was anymore, because, you know, there are some things that you already have the victory before you get the results. And I feel like after the day 3, I just knew I had the victory. Even though on the day of the result, I was still like so nervous and anxious and everything. But I finished the exam and I knew I passed. You know, I knew I passed. Like, even by the enemy will keep bringing doubts, thoughts. Oh, did you say this? Did you do that? Did you do this? Did you do that? But I just knew I had passed this exam. It was, I don't even have the word. It was stressful. It was stressful. I'm not trying to scare you if you haven't done the exam. I will share my experience in terms of, I'll share my lessons about ORE Part 2 exam. And I don't want to put fear in your heart at all, because I feel like that's one of the things that even puts me in that position, because so many room, everybody's saying the same, and it will just put you in a place of fear. If I don't listen to any of those things and I just gone like an innocent person that I am, maybe I won't have even had all those trauma. But when you've heard so many stories, then you obviously be fearful. I don't know, maybe it's part of their marketing propaganda to just put fear in our hearts. But yeah, that was my experience. I remember getting to the train station and I was broke. Like, I was broke. Like, I spent my entire savings, because I was working there as a dental hygienist, and then I was on maternity. So I was just giving my small money to, you know, take care of my baby, buy things for my baby. But I spent every single thing on that exam. I went for courses, booked hotels, Airbnb, paid for. I didn't have anything left. That I didn't have money to eat. So I sat down and I looked a year ago. I remember where I was, how beaten down I was. And I was like, God, you have been good. And like, it was just like, wow. I can't complain. I can't complain. I mean, if I want to start looking, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, I just remember, I know where I'm coming from. I know where I'm coming from. Where I am now, God has been good. God has been too good and too kind and too faithful. And yeah, that's just my testimony, really. That's my ORE journey. And 1 year after, I am not where I used to be. I am not where I used to be at all. You know, I'm registered and I'm working. I'm still a present mom for my kids, because I have that balance, which I'm so, so grateful for. I'm so grateful for that. And I'll share more about my work experiences. Even in that 1 year, my high has seen Shaggy. My high has seen all sorts. And I've been scammed in this dental profession. Like, I've fallen in the wrong hands and all. But God has been good so far, and for that I am grateful. So yeah, I can't believe I cheered up, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Your girl is still here, still loving you guys. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for watching today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye till next time.